This is the Cornerstone Critical Dialogues. We're talking about community wellness, community health and well-being and its relation to the arts. Human beings are social creatures. We need to know each other, feel each other's energy. And the pandemic has really put a spanner in the works of that.
I mean, ultimately, we all want to live the best life possible. We all want to feel what it feels like to feel good in our bodies and feel good in our communities and in our families and in our relationships.
The power that arts have, like dancing and music and poetry has, in development works through the arts.
Yeah, it's just the beauty about healing and going on the mental health journey is that it's a constant cycle of evolving and growing and healing, and it just always goes deeper and deeper, and it's such a blessing to be able to have different mediums to be able to heal and express that or release it, or help other people.
Good evening. My name's Ryan Fortune. I'm the host of the first episode of the Cornerstone Critical Dialogues, which is a new series. This particular show, tonight's show, is really going to look at how the arts can impact positively one's mental health. It's also Mental Health Awareness Month this October, and so the two together really make sense. And there's lots of research that's been done into the positive effect that the arts can have on people's mental health. And so for tonight's guest lineup, we have in the studio with me from right to left, we have Dara Jaslin, who is 23 years old, and she's singing since she was 4 years old, performing
piano since I was 4, singing my whole life.
So you remind me of a quote that I heard from Michael Jackson one time, where he says, with music, you become the beat. So it seems like music has infused your life, and so she's here in the studio with us, and she's going to talk to us about how the role of music and how that can help with people's mental health issues, I would guess. And then we also have Bevin Reynolds, who is directly in front of me. She is a dance practitioner, dance facilitator. She is also a hypnotherapist and a registered counsellor. And she helps people get through relationship problems, family relationship problems, and we know that as a result of COVID, I think a lot of these issues have come to the fore. People being stuck in one place, maybe with people they don't necessarily know or like, and having to get to know each other in a more personal and intimate way. And so she's going to talk to us about that. And then on the left, we have Vusumuzi Mpofu, who is a student at the Cornerstone Institute. He is also a poet, performance poet. He's also on the steering committee of the Cape Cultural Collective. And Vusu is a young man. He's about 24.
24, yeah.
24 years
24
old.
years old, yeah.
You look about 17.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Looks much younger than he is. But he's here with us. He comes from Wallerstein, I think.
Kraaifontein, yeah.
Kraaifontein.
Yes, sir.
Kraaifontein. And he's going to be performing some of his poetry and music. I've listened to some of his poems. Very powerful. Absolutely moving. And there's one in particular that I think lots of us will be able to relate to, which is, well, at least from my experience, maybe I relate to it maybe more than most, but I think it will touch lots of people, because it's a common experience in certain communities where we have issues of gender-based violence, domestic abuse, and that sort of thing. And he's done a poem that really, when I saw it online, really moved something in me and opened a doorway. So we'll talk about that in due course. So without further ado, I want to start with Bevin Reynolds. Bevin, tell me about yourself and the work that you've been doing, and how that has helped people.
Firstly, thank you, Ryan, for the thorough introduction. I'm really grateful to be here. My passion is really working with people in a holistic way, really taking into account the multiple facets of their being, the thoughts, the emotions, the body, and if it lines up with them, their spirituality. and finding ways that work for them, that are right for them, to heal and transform their lives. I mean, ultimately, we all want to live the best life possible. We all want to feel what it feels like to feel good in our bodies and feel good in our communities and in our families and in our relationships. And so, yeah, that's kind of the work that I'm doing. It takes there's a few threads that I weave together, but I think you're interested in the dance aspect, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in the aspect of that. In the current context, even with services available, if you are someone who is facing a mental health crisis in the current context, it may take you a while even to be able to access those kind of services if you get to the point of crisis. I heard a figure quoted a while back that said it might take you a month to get an appointment even. And so for me, what's interesting is that there are other modalities, there are other ways of dealing with your anxiety, your stress, your fears, your traumas, that may not require you to go to see a specialist. So I want to talk about those things, and I think dance is obviously one of them. So yeah, let's talk about that.
It's a big topic. Yeah, I mean, obviously in South Africa, access to mental health services, especially at the paid level, there's a level of exclusion. A large percentage of the population can't access those levels. So I'm really glad that you're putting the attention on more accessible routes that people can do this kind of healing work. The way I operate is that I really believe that we have an innate capacity to heal within ourselves. I do think that the body and the mind and the psyche, it's got a healing component that's there. It's just ready. And it is about finding the different resources within our contexts, within ourselves, that can help us activate that part of us. So yeah, I mean, if I can start to list them if you want me to go into it.
I mean, it's interesting. It's always been interesting for me because I felt that, there's a quote that I always remember. I think I've got it probably posted somewhere. It's a quote from one of my childhood heroes, well, still one of my heroes, Bruce Lee, where he says, train the body and the mind will follow. So it's really about the fact that people often think about it in the reverse, but actually if you start moving. If you start moving your body, your mind, something happens to your mind, and then you kind of calm down and or things change, things shift for you. So so talk about how you work and what you've been doing.
Firstly, I just want to comment. I love that he mentioned that, because when addressing, I'm going to speak specifically about trauma because that's one of my kind of specialties. We have a top-down approach, which is that training the mind. It's working with how you're thinking about things. And then the bottom up is the movement and accessing the body's wisdom and working from there. And I mean, that includes things like breath work, the way that we utilize our breath, the way that we can tap and touch our bodies, the way that we can just sigh to release and regulate our nervous systems. I mean, the body has got so many self-regulating components that we can access so easily, but we just perhaps need a bit of guidance and a little bit of facilitation from outside, or just knowing, like, hey, if I sigh out, I mean, you could practice it now. Like if you took a really nice, big, deep sigh out, you're going to feel a little bit of calmness like somewhere, even if it's like small. And those little micro practices you can build through the day. When I work with my counseling clients in a one-on-one capacity or with couples, we do a lot of that, just basically reminding the body of what it's capable of doing. And then within group spaces, there's the dance. So,
do you give classes at in Claremont? Is that where you've been doing those classes?
I was doing them there, and with COVID, things shut down. And then I actually moved into a studio in Hout Bay for a while, and then did some online. Now I'm more, and I like to work with people who are open to that, and it's been difficult for people to feel comfortable dancing. So,
I want to come to Dara.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Dara. So tell me about you and your journey with music, and how the role that music has played in your life, and maybe if you've had moments of crisis at certain points, how that's been.
So I've been very lucky that music's been a part of my life, my whole life. My dad was a musician, a jazz one, back in the day. And
is your surname really Jaslin?
No, so my real surname's Stein-Gassner. My father's Hungarian. Okay. And so he did jazz music in the 60s. He even played with the Carpenters a little bit. And so he influenced me to do music from a young age. I was classically trained and did jazz and singing, and was very blessed to have that opportunity to study that from such a young age. But I think where music really helped me mentally was being bullied in school quite a lot, especially for being a creative and being so sensitive and empathic and connected to my emotions. I was able to write a lot of music. So through the bullying and through the ups and downs of life as a kid, writing music was really my connection and my mental health release. And oftentimes I listen or look back at music I wrote when I was maybe 14 or 15, and now 5 or 6 years later, I connect with it on an even deeper level than when I wrote it. And it's just the beauty about healing and going on the mental health journey is that it's a constant cycle of evolving and growing and healing, and it just always goes deeper and deeper. And it's such a blessing to be able to have different mediums to be able to heal and express that or release it, or help other people.
Vusu, let's come to you.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about you and your work and your practice. When did you start doing poetry? Poetry is one of my... I love poetry. I'm not a poet myself, but but tell me a bit about that.
I started... Okay, I've always been a reader, like from a very young age. I've always liked reading, like Da Vinci Code. My mom bought me like a Disney book, so like I'll read those. I've always also enjoyed music. But then in 2014, I was still in high school. There was a poetry show. I checked it out. And then I saw Ntsiki Mazwai on SABC doing a poem. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Then I was just playing around with my friend. And then, like, next thing, I attended a show. I saw, like, kids doing, and then, that's cool. That's a cool way to express yourself. So I was like, okay, I also got stories. Let me also start sharing stories. Yeah, but then I joined Cypher, which is like a Cape Youth Poetry Hub for Expression and Rhythm, which trains young poets to be writers and develops them to be professional artists. But I've just grown with it. I just love telling stories and engaging, because I've seen the power that poetry has, or just the arts have, like dancing and music and it, like in development works. So I'm trying to see how to add to the practice of community development in particular through the arts.
Fantastic. And you are, we'll come to that a bit later, your work with the Cape Cultural Collective. We'll come to that later. So just a reminder, if you're listening from home or wherever you're listening from your car, wherever, well, don't make a call unless you stop. But you can call into the show. The number to call to the Cornerstone Critical Dialogues is 021 448 3277. And we're talking about mental health, community health, and the arts on tonight's first show of the Cornerstone Critical Dialogues. In the studio with me, I have Dara Jaslin, I've got Bevin Reynolds, and you just heard Vusumuzi Mpofu, a student at the Cornerstone Institute. A bit later in the show, we're going to be, as I said initially, we're going to be taking a deep dive into these issues. We're also going to be talking to Judith Mukuna-Garish, who is at Cornerstone, and she's works. There's a new intervention at Cornerstone where an attempt to bring the students together about in the face of the kind of isolation and separation that has been caused by COVID, and so to get that connectivity back. And so the project is called the Cornerstone Connect. She's going to be joining us a bit later. And also then on the phone, not in the studio with us, we're going to be joined by Evelyn Holzhausen, who is a former journalist, I discovered. But Evelyn is going to be talking to us about forest bathing. If you don't know what that is, it is a thing. You go into the forest and you find a river and you bathe. No, I'm joking. It is about spending time. It's about spending time in nature and being in a more conscious way than just hiking through and tramping through and running through. And so Evelyn is going to be joining us a bit later on the phone from home. We're also going to be talking, we're going to get into the issue of food and mental health at some point later in the show, because if you haven't heard, there's scientific research, not new, but coming more to the fore about the fact that your gut is very strongly connected to your mind. And so the food you eat and that you choose to put into your body has an effect on your mood and the way you think, and even the mental, the synapses, so that are in your mind. The processed food we eat is not good for us, but we'll get into all of that a bit later with Claudia Von Skulkvick, who is the person behind the 90-day wellness challenge, the UBA 90-day wellness challenge. She's going to be joining us on the phone as well. And at some point, we're also going to be talking to called Kgalema Easton, who is calling us from, she's going to be on the phone with us from KZN. She's moved back there. But Kgalema is someone who started growing food on people's, first outside her own house, on the pavement, on the verge, and it's turned into an entire movement of people growing food on their pavements, their own organic food, not spending money at the shops, not spending as much money at the shops, but really creating food resilience. And so, but back to the studio. In the studio, as I said, Dara is a singer, and if you're a singer and you come into this particular studio and on the show, you have to perform. And Dara has kindly offered to do one of her songs. So she's going to do that. Are you ready to do that? Actually?
Yeah, we can just sound check and go.
Okay, let's see if we can get a sound check in here. Where are my people? Okay, they're coming in.
But awesome, the song I'm going to be performing is called Meant to Fly, and next week, Thursday, I am going to be flying to Miami to join Carnival Cruise Line as a piano bar entertainer. So, I did the cruising industry for about 2 years, and that's where I wrote this song on my previous contract. So maybe it was called Meant to Sail, but it's very related to just being present and working with yourself and growing. And I think when you're on the ocean, isolated and, performing, doing music and traveling, you do a lot of self-reflection, especially as a solo musician traveling on my own. So I did a lot of growth and healing. So I hope you enjoy the song. The lyrics are very deep and important. And
fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell me, Dara, before we get into the song, so you haven't been able to perform really about COVID, really?
Yes. So it was very interesting going from working on the ships to a COVID situation where my industry was completely shut down, both overseas and in South Africa. So when gigs started at the end of last year, I really hustled and worked really hard to try get the few gigs that were happening for very small venues. And I think all industries were affected by this, but often the hospitality industry or the venues hiring didn't even have much budget for the musicians, even in this COVID time. So oftentimes doing lots of gigs here, you're driving far, and unfortunately they can't provide food either. So it's been very tough as an artist in South Africa in lockdown. It's been extremely tough. I'm very grateful that there are some other opportunities and that I'm able to go back to the ships. I hope that I'll be able to come back and bring some more good things to get the movement of music going more here as well.
Fantastic. In studio live with 3 artists. One of them is Dara Jaslin, 23 years old, performer since she was 6 years old. She's doing amazing things. She's jetting off into the big wide world next week, and that's why I really wanted her to be in the studio today before she left. And she's going to do a song, one of her songs that she wrote while on a previous trip out of the country, and it's called Meant to Fly. I hope you enjoy it. I hope the sound comes through quite well, but let's see. You'll be amazed at her voice, I promise you. So, let's get into it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan, for having me. And thank you, Bush Radio, for having me as well. I'm very excited to share the song with you all. And yeah, it's awesome to be able to perform and be on the radio before I leave. So yeah, enjoy.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Cornerstone. Learn to change the world.
Listen here, I know something just ain't right. It's how we grow through the painful times, the fight or the flight. We can try to perceive what we can subconsciously see. We've just got to be present within our reality. But I know that, baby, I'm meant to fly. I'm meant to fly. Become best friends with yourself. It's you and your mind against everybody else. The power's in the presence of time. And manifest your dreams. Set your soul on fire. You were born to fly. You were born to fly. You were born to soar beyond the walls that you built up in your own mind. But baby, we were all meant to fly. We were meant to fly. We were meant to but baby, we were meant to fly. But baby, we were meant to fly. But baby, we were meant to fly. So fly my
Wow, what a powerful song. Thank you, Dara. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And that is the power of music and song to move you, to make you feel different ways and make you, uplift you and take you into spaces that you may not necessarily access in your day-to-day. Yeah. Wow. I'm a bit blown out in the small studio like this and the song coming up like that. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the topic of tonight's show is the power of the arts, the arts to really impact one's mental health and one's mental well-being quite intensely, and how we can leverage those art forms and those modalities to really help us get through certain things. I mean, I think, the Cornerstone Institute is actually I want to just say something about the Cornerstone Institute. Has been doing amazing work for the past 50 years, since 1970. Things have been going, maybe since early 70s. And been producing lots of students and people who engage in their communities and try to work with some of the problems that communities face in South Africa. And so that is what the Cornerstone Institute is doing. And one of the real driving aspects, one of the things that they really drive is the arts. And I've been to several events where the arts and performance is really a critical aspect of the work that's being done at Cornerstone Institute. If you are someone who is interested in studying there, wants to do one of the programs, you can go to the website www.cornerstone.ac.za. And it's October now. There's still time to apply, to register, to look at the courses and the programs that are available. And you can become part of the Cornerstone family as well, which is now, I think, about 200 students in real life and 1,700 online. So it's not only a contact experience. There are people all around the world who are doing the courses there. And if you are financially struggling, you can get assistance from Cornerstone to find the resources for you to study and take up one of the courses there. We'll go into some detail about that a bit later. Before we get to another performance, because I think I need to decompress from that, and we'll get to some other stuff later on. I want to cross over to one of my online guests. Is he online? Evelyn.
Yes.
Evelyn. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, Ryan.
Thanks for joining us. Evelyn is a former journalist. We heard earlier on, I discovered that we had worked at some of the same places, maybe at different times in our career in journalism. But Evelyn is now retired from journalism, but doing something very amazing with these retirement years, which is forest bathing. So, Evelyn, without further ado, I want to find out from you. So, what is forest bathing? What is this? Does one go into the forest and skinny dip in the river? What is that all about?
That's the first reaction that I get from anyone when I talk about forest bathing. The first reaction they get is, do we have to take our clothes off and swim in the rivers? And the answer is no. You're not having a traditional bath, with soap and water. What you're actually doing is bathing in the essences of the forest and the trees, in a sense that I'll speak a little bit in more depth about it later. But in its essence, when you walk through the forest, there are, from the trees and from the foliage around you, there are various what we could call aromatic compounds that are released by the trees, much as peeling an onion can bring tears to your eyes. You're getting these aromatic compounds in the forest which are beneficial to your health, and particularly beneficial to your immune system, and also beneficial to your stress reaction. Interestingly, it didn't start as that, but it started in Japan, where it's called Shinrin Yoko. And what it was the Japanese wanted to get people out of their business environments, out of their flats. And I'm sure lots of your listeners will remember at one stage there was a lot of suicide in Japan with people being overworked.
Yes.
So what they wanted to do was to say, right, get people out of their offices and get them into the forests where they can, I suppose, breathe a little bit. And then what they did was took it a step further, and they did some research into why do you feel better when you go for a walk? What is it that makes you feel better? Is it just you just feel better because you're out of your normal environment? And they did some tight tests, and after people were walking in forests, and they found that their immune system was boosted. So they measured blood, they measured urine samples, and they found there was an increase in what they call killer genes, and those are the genes that go around your body looking for. So look, let's say you may have a disease, and you have within your body killer genes that go around and kill them and attack the disease. So by going into a forest, what happens is that you are boosting your immune system. So you do feel good, but actually your body is actually benefiting from it as well.
So you're saying there's the scientific evidence that backs this up. This
absolutely, yes, absolutely. And as it's becoming more and more popular, they're doing it in Kew Gardens, they're doing it all over the world at the moment. And obviously the more people are doing it, the more the scientists want to get hold of it and do research into it. So there's ongoing research into forest bathing and the benefits. Even though we know instinctively, people, I need to go for a walk. Even if I go for a walk around the park, I come back and I feel better. And how it came to me was that I've been hiking my entire life, and I've been, since I was 10, 11 years old, I've been, frog marching myself around the mountains. And it occurred to me that, my whole thing of going to the mountains to get to the top of the mountain and walk down again, and what was I missing on the way? To use that cliche, was I stopping to smell the roses? And the answer was no. And as these things happen, I came across this Shinrin Yoko as a concept, did some research into it, joined forces with an incredibly good yoga teacher and a former high care nurse. And together we formed what we're now calling the forest bathing experiences.
Fantastic, Evelyn. I must tell you, I spend some time in nature, not nearly enough as much as I should. And the few times, let's say before COVID or whatever. But the last time I was on the mountain in Cecilia Forest, I was so struck by these hikers sort of stumbling and sort of running through the forest, trying to get to finish their hike, and engaging in small talk, the most banal small talk that had nothing to do with the forest. It really struck me about how, obviously they're probably getting some benefit from the exercise and inhaling these compounds, but actually mentally they are completely somewhere else.
I think I guess I see a lot of trail runners, and they get a high from trail running, which is different to the kind of softer, gentle, more immune boosting that forest bathing is. So I think, post-lockdown, first of all, lockdown has caused a lot of stress, and a lot of people that we've taken on forest bathing have said, wow, it was just so amazing because they could just stop and breathe. And people say, well, why do we need to do a forest bathing experience? Why can't I just go and sit in the forest? The trouble is that you don't. It's like, let's say, do you do yoga at home, or do you do your exercises at home? Yes, you sort of half-heartedly do them, you leap out of bed, but when you go to a gym, you've got a specific time where you go, and that's the time you dedicate to doing this. And we found with the forest bathing, having a structure, we take people into the forest, we take them through a process. We do a few yoga stretches to allow them to do some breathing, lifting their arms and just opening their chests a bit. And then we invite people to lie on the ground and look up to the trees and watch the leaves. And you'd be amazed that some people have said, I haven't done that since I was a child.
Yes. A few years ago, I did a forest walk with a friend of mine who was giving these forest walks. And one of the things that she told us, obviously, you go in, you walk very slowly, you become more conscious of the sounds and the insects and the smells and the sights and all of that. And at some point in the walk, she said to us, I see these big trees over here. This was in Cecilia Forest. She said, you see these big trees here? Just go and put yourself against the tree, hug the tree, hold the tree and just put your ear against the tree and feel it. And we all did this at some point, and about 90% of the group that was there at some point burst into tears.
Yes, we've experienced that. Hillary, the yoga teacher that I work with, likens a tree to, the tree pose in yoga is very popular, but you've got your feet in the ground, rooted to the ground, and you're getting the benefits of being in touch with the earth barefoot. And then you've got the trunk of the tree, which is the strong part of the body, and then your thoughts. And, I said to her, well, my thoughts run around like a wild rabbit in my head. And she said, well, why don't you change that to listen to birds singing in your trees? So you have a kind of a change of experience, a change of perception. And even if it's our experiences take about 4 hours, even that 4 hours, people have come out. One lady said to us she was so stressed, and the calmness after the forest bathing experience lasted for her for a week. Tomorrow I've got an experience, and I've got a high care nurse coming, and she's been dealing with COVID, and she said she's been surrounded by death, and what she needs is just to breathe, to go into the forest, to breathe, to feel healed. And it's a wonderful healing experience to do this, and I'm so glad that I discovered it, because absolutely it's an experience that once, we haven't been doing it during winter, and I've really missed it. We're starting up again tomorrow, our first sort of springtime forest bathing, because the forests are cold in winter and wet.
Yes, fantastic. Evelyn, so can you just tell us a bit, so how do people, if people want to have this experience, how do they get hold of you?
Right, we've got a website. It's forestbathingcapetown.co.za, and then we don't have specific dates. So if we get emails from 4 or 5 people, we then put together a group. So if you need to just email info@forestbathing.co.za, or people can call me on my cell phone, which is 082-658-6007. And we're only too happy. We take groups of up to 4 people, and the maximum we do is about 14, because we want the experience to be fairly intimate. So it's between 4 and 14 people. You email us, and we will then say, right, we've got a group going on Friday, we've got a group going. So we do Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, just to suit people. And it's a wonderful experience, and I would recommend it for people who are feeling stressed and feeling like the pressure of what's been going on recently. It really is a wonderful experience, awesome. And I'm so glad that I've discovered it.
Fantastic. Can you just give us that website address again for those listeners?
info@forestbathing.capetown.co.za.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you so much, Evelyn.
Thank you, Ryan.
No problem.
Okay, bye.
I hope to join you one day soon.
Yes, I will invite you. I'll give you a call tomorrow and invite you, because you do need to experience it, I promise.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Okay.
Cheers.
Wow. Yeah, so forest bathing, people, and this is again these easy things that one can do. And we live in truly one of the most beautiful cities in the world. We're surrounded by nature all over. I mean, certain communities have more trouble accessing the beauty of nature in Cape Town. We know for the reasons why that is. But the fact of the matter is that we are in a beautiful city where we are able, if we make a bit of effort to get out into nature. People who live close to the mountain or close to the forest and who don't make use of those resources are really not wasting their time. I don't want to say the word, but you are wasting an opportunity to really help yourself. Dara, I follow you on Instagram, and you seem to spend a lot of time in the forest. Can you?
Yes. I love the nature. It's the one thing I'm going to miss so much for being on a boat for 4 months, for the next 4 months. It's so grounding for me. I'm quite into astrology. I have a lot of earth in my chart, so I'm very connected to the earth. And one of the reasons, both my parents are foreign actually, but they moved here, and I'm South African, and I've been born and raised here my whole life, and they've always made it very evident that they love South Africa for the nature. They moved to South Africa because the nature is the most incredible in the world, and I can really vouch for that, even through all my travels I've been doing over the many years. Honestly, coming home to South African nature, it's unlike any other. Having the mountains right on the beaches, we really have it all, and it's very grounding. I feel like Cape Town's nature and South African nature is very unique, not just with the fynbos, but with many different aspects.
Yeah. Definitely. And so people, if you are South African, if you live in Cape Town, anywhere in South Africa really, if you make a bit of effort, you need to get out into nature. The things are opening up now. Travel is opening up. If you are planning your holiday for December, please think about coming to Cape Town or wherever you are in the country. I mean, even I spent a few years living in Limpopo, and there's a part of Limpopo which is sort of subtropical, where it's a completely different biome. It has its own what's it called? Subtropical climate over there, microclimate near Tsanin, and it's absolutely amazing out there. So there are these pockets of places that you can access and that you really need to make an effort to go and experience. So carrying on, Cornerstone Critical Dialogues, looking at the arts. Moving on. I want to come to Vusu because Vusu is he's a young poet. He's been doing it for about 6 years now, 8 years. He's been
performing professionally as an artist. Yeah.
Yes. He's been performing.
6 years, yeah.
He's been his poems are really powerful. I can see he's someone who takes his art really seriously. He writes, your words are very well considered always. I think you really make an effort in telling people a story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I'm going to cross to you, Vusu, you're going to do a poem with music.
That I'm going to recite?
Yes.
So
tell us a bit about the poem.
The poem is Human Rights. Okay, I don't think I have a title for it yet, but it's about human rights and us just being comfortable in who we are. And last year I went to Harare in Zimbabwe, and then I bought a souvenir bag, which is like a mirror instrument. So I've been learning that. So I'm trying just to fuse it with poetry and seeing how it goes. I don't know. I hope it works.
Okay, let's see. You're allowed to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of, part of the process.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a poem about human rights. Enjoy.
Daughters of the dust, you are beautiful in whichever ways you choose to be. Daughters of the dust, you are beautiful when you lace your weave. You are exquisite when you knot your braids. Wabakena when you rock your dreadlocks. Sons of the soil, you are bold with your bold head. You are fly with your colorful hair dye. We are all forever beautiful in whichever ways we choose to be. Let us not allow them to use our hair strands like puppet strings, clicking us into boxes of what the media portrays beauty to be. Dear mothers, teach your sons they are crowned. Dear fathers, teach your daughters to fashion the crowns growing from their heads to their heart's desires. From the strands of our hairs to the tips of our toes, we are human. We are free to express ourselves as ourselves. We are free to be. We are free to speak. We are free, priceless, precious like gold. God took his time molding you from the earth. You are human, right? Remember your human rights.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vusu. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the work that you're doing in the different communities that you yes.
Yeah,
what's happening out there?
Yeah, so I'm currently based in Kraaifontein. I work as a facilitator, community development practitioner, as a facilitator for Gold Youth Development Agency. We work in high schools, right? So we work with high school learners from grade 9 up to grade 12. There's an understanding that, young people have the ideas, they have the energy. So, and it's a peer education program. So it's about, we have this core belief that it starts with one person and then they share it with their peer and then it leads to group change, which leads to community change, right? So we're just trying to reach like learners in that way. It's a peer-to-peer education program. We cover modules such as self-development, communication skills, sexual and reproductive health, to curb issues such as teenage pregnancy, substance abuse. We also focus on leadership and communication skills and community upliftment. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. Also studying, I'm actually doing my final module, which is it's exciting. Yes, sir. It's been quite a journey. I've learned a lot. I'm at a point in my life where I'm just trying to find balance between work, school, poetry, and just life. So yeah, it's been an exciting journey.
Fantastic. Tell me, how are you doing the course? Are you doing it in contact, or are you doing it online? Huh?
The course began as a contact class, right? However, due to COVID, we ended up having to do online. We did contact, when the levels were less strict. But then now it's been just finishing the course online. Yeah.
And how are you finding it with the online thing? Because I think one of the things about higher education is the connection that you build with other people over the course of your years of studying.
Yeah.
And obviously COVID has come in and disrupted that. How are you guys mitigating against that sense of isolation or separation?
Yeah, I won't lie. Definitely, contact is better. I feel like learning is meant to be in person. There's a certain bond that is built there. But then with online, the institute has been really helpful. We get data every month to do to attend online classes, and also there were devices provided tablets and whatnot. Right? Yeah, so that's where that's the level of mitigation. However, I feel like it's the 21st century, it's 2021, and then there's COVID-19, so things have moved online. That's the fourth industrial revolution. That's where we are. That's where the world is heading, or has headed already. But it's a great, I'm learning a lot, really. It's making me reflect about what can I bring to the science of community development. What role can I play in it?
Fantastic. Yeah. You're happy about the choice you made to study at Cornerstone?
Definitely, yeah.
You would encourage other people to do the same?
Most definitely. It's very intimate. It's very intimate.
You feel part of a family there?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, it's like that.
Fantastic.
I highly recommend.
Awesome. Thanks, Vusu. Bevin, I wanted to talk to you about, again, the sense of isolation that people have been feeling and how even now that things have moved online. You said you were doing some things online. You were offering classes online. Can you tell me how that has gone? What were you offering, and how did people take it on?
I was offering a dance class, but it's very challenging. It's been very challenging. I think part of what made the dance classes that I held so magical was the sense of cohesion and the sense of feeling in your body as though you are part of one organism that's moving in so many different creative ways, because it's quite an expressive class. It's not there isn't a routine that you have to follow. The idea is that you allow your body to express exactly what it wants to express, whether it's feelings or thoughts or nothing, just really sinking into a space where your mind is almost not there and it's just the body leading. And then obviously when groups of people are doing that together, I mean, it activates this potency of connection, of healing, of just being part of something.
So I've attended some of those classes at the Claremont Civic Center. Is it the Community Center, Civic Center in Claremont, with the big wooden floor, and I mean, there's a DJ and you play kind of like house music, it's side trance music, right? And you spend it's an hour or 90 minutes just moving and flowing with the music and expressing whatever you feel in relation to the music, and it's an absolutely euphoric experience. I mean, at the end of it, you come out of it and you feel, wow, that was so amazing. Just being able to release yourself and shake off all of these things that you've been holding in. I think South Africa is and possibly because of our history, but maybe just that's how it is in the world today, that the people we hold a lot of things inside. We are a repressed society. South Africa is quite a conservative society, I think, in many ways. And so we hold things back and we keep it in. We don't express ourselves. And so dancing and moving and being able to just be free is such an amazing, empowering thing. At the end of those classes, and I can see that trying to replicate that experience with someone in their living room is going to be quite challenging. So yeah, so that doesn't really work so well. Yeah,
not quite.
One of the things that I think is going on, and if you are listening at home, that I've also participated in, is something called Secret Sunrise, which is really an amazing experience where you are out in nature. So you've got nature, and then you've got the music, and you've also got dance. So it's a whole package where you'll be on the beach at sunrise, or sometimes they do it at sunset. And a few years ago, they were doing it at the top of Table Mountain, I think. And so you get this absolutely amazing communal experience, and I think with COVID now, you because it's outdoors, you don't really need to be so concerned. I mean, you obviously do the usual things, but you have headphones and there's a DJ, and you go out there and just dance for about an hour. It's absolutely amazing. Have you done that, Dara, yet at all?
Not specifically Secret Sunrise, but a very similar concept with the headphones and dancing in nature.
Yeah. And it's a bit like the silent disco thing, but out in nature. Yeah.
Yes, and it was actually at Cool Bay, and the wind was howling, and my friend and I went right up to the ocean, and it was almost as if the wind was like flying us away, but we could still hear the music like perfectly because of the headphones. So it was such an amazing experience.
So fantastic. Yeah, I mean, these are the things that are available to us people of Cape Town, and I think Secret Sunrise is actually a global movement now. So wherever you are in the world, Google Secret Sunrise near me, I guess, and go and spend an hour moving at sunrise out in nature with some strangers who are equally inspired. So right now I want to cross to a lady that I have not met in person, but I follow her on Facebook, or we're Facebook friends, and I've been seeing some of the work that she's been doing over the past few months, and I've been really impressed. I think I actually visited her website at some point, and I've been following her posts and all of that kind of thing. Her name is Claudia Von Skulkvick, and I believe she's from Kales River, which is an area I know quite well, having gone to school there. But she's out, I believe. Are you in Saldanha at this point, Claudia? Where are you? Tell us a bit where you are.
No, I'm actually back home. Good evening, Ryan.
Good evening.
And thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming, agreeing to be on the show. You are the founder, the driving force behind the Uber Wellness Challenge. Uber, is it 90-day challenge, 14-day challenge? How long does one need to change your life?
Well, I started it when I launched it. It was a 90-day program, and then COVID happened, and everything happened. And then we developed an online program. So it is a 14-day, and there's a 30-day, and then 60-day. But in fact, it's a lifestyle. It's a journey. So these are only stepping stones, for people to be able to go onto the program and transition into a more healthier lifestyle.
So yes, I mean, health obviously, especially now. I mean, health should be, I guess, for everyone a very serious focus in your daily life, just as you go along. I mean, I guess I picked up some of that having had a very religious Christian Seventh-day Adventist upbringing, where health and taking care of your body was quite a serious thing. I think we were vegetarian I was a vegetarian for about 20 years, the first 20 years of my life, just because of having gone to that, being a part of that congregation. So the point about the connection between food and health, and also so physical health and mental health as well. I really want to dive a bit into that. We are going to come to the question of why you actually started off on this journey. But before we get there, can you maybe just explain to the listeners and to us in the studio what is that connection between your mental well-being and the food that you choose to put into your body?
Well, I strongly believe that you cannot build a strong physical body if you are not taking care of the mental health.
And vice versa.
You have to build mental fortitude if you want to have a strong physical body. And for me, the mind and the gut is coherently connected. It is connected. You cannot heal one side of the body because everything in the body is connected. And once you take an holistic approach to detoxification, and I specialize in detoxification methods, and make sure that there's stages into transforming the body in becoming the best version of yourself. So it is definitely something that you have to be guided upon if you want to become a healthier version of yourself. It's not something, we get these crash diets where we go on and we hop on and we go from the one thing to the next thing, and we yo-yo back and forth. And it's actually not beneficial for the body to do that. If you are really serious about, and especially during this time that we live in, serious about taking your health to the next level and becoming the best version of yourself, holistically, you have to consider the mental health first and foremost, the mind. And of course, and you've just said it yourself, you come from a very, very strong Christian or biblical background where our temple is the body. Our body is the temple of Christ, and we need to look after it. And for me, and I firmly believe, and my foundation is that the foundation of all the programs is that you cannot transform without renewal of the mind.
So, Claudia, just tell me, so you've been taking people, as generally women, on this program, or how has it been working so far?
Yeah, it's mainly these women. I don't know why there's only women. It's open to everyone. So men, we actually did have a few men on the program, and they've done exceptionally well. So it's open to every single one. It is open to anyone that wants to experience complete high vibration of living a healthier lifestyle. And when I say this is that, there's experts on board with me to make sure that we take the correct steps to get people to understand the body. Because first and foremost, you need to understand how the body works and how the body operates on a daily basis to be able to make healthier choices. So it's all about getting an understanding. If you don't have understanding, you will not be able to make long-lasting, sustainable choices. So at the end, when we can get the understanding to, that is how the body works, why this is not for my body, and you get the understanding of that, then you make the healthy choice by saying, I now understand that this is the reasons why, this product or this food group is not beneficial for my body, or why my body don't digest it so well. And then, only then, you'll be able to make the decision. Because once we go onto programs or lifestyle choices or crash diets, that there is a strict diet in front of you, and, you eliminate these food groups flat out, you don't make the choice yourself. You've been given, you understand, a elimination to say, right, this is what you do for this week and this week and this week, and follow that. Yes, and we all do lose the weight, or we all do feel healthier, or we want to live this healthy lifestyle, but then we go back to our old ways again.
Claudia, I want to find out from you, what are the things that one needs to, what are the simple things that one can do? Okay, so one of the things I know about the way people consume food, it often has a lot to do with limited time, limited choices that they feel they may have. People. One of the things, especially in the poorer communities of the Western Cape and the country, I would guess, is that people's choices are about food are really logical choices most of the time. It's about the fact that I don't have the time to go to the Checkers or the store to buy an entire healthy meal or ingredients to cook a healthy meal at home. So I'd rather go to a fast food joint and buy some other food because it saves me time. I don't have to put all that effort in, and I can satisfy my hunger and that of my kids and my family. So what are the simple things that someone can do in that kind of situation where you have those limitations? Are there things that you need to cut out that can help you on this journey, like sugar, soft drinks? What are those things? Where can we start on that journey?
Okay, so for me, first and foremost, I would highly recommend that everyone eliminates dairy out of their diet. Dairy is our main source of mucus. It forms mucus in the body. If we can limit dairy consumption in our body, that will definitely increase your immunity.
Yes.
It will definitely help you to prevent inflammation in the body, and also it will prevent, because the body do form their own mucus in the bodies. It's needed. We need that.
Yes.
But the dairy, it's overproduction of mucus. So we do not need, and especially in COVID time, we don't need to form that much dairy. And it causes, the sinus, and it causes the inflammation. So if we can eliminate the dairy, first, the cheeses.
The cheese, really?
The yogurt.
Cheese.
And now people will say, you need dairy.
Cheese, please. Claudia, that's terrible. Okay, cheese, you say. Okay, fine. Cheese, and what about things like sugar and soft drinks and those things?
Oh, definitely. Sugar, sugar also. But for me, dairy is really first and foremost on the list. Of course, there's sugar and there's wheat. And now you must also understand, to live healthy is not cheap. It is expensive. I know that. But there is really things that we can do to make sure that the family start implementing meat-free or dairy-free Monday. One day of the week. There's some great alternatives for white rice to brown rice that is more healthier. So it's really about becoming conscious.
Yes.
About, am I going to shift the health of my family by making healthier choices when you wake up in the morning? So you need to say to yourself, today I'm going to become conscious about the food that I'm going to eat. What nutritional value does this food offer my body?
Tell me something. Do you think that our education system is doing enough to really educate people? I mean, the food that you eat is one of the most, or the quality of the food that you eat has such an impact on so many other aspects of your life throughout your life. And I find that the education system really is not doing nearly enough to educate children, particularly, because that's where it starts.
I have boys, and I study with my little one, and I was quite surprised to see that they had been implementing, healthier options and speaking about, environmental damage and the food consumption in masses. So yes. I was very pleased, and also a lot of restaurants has becoming more aware of doing more plant-based, more gluten-free. Yes. I do believe that government maybe should focus more on implementing more focus on becoming healthier than rather just using, wearing the mask.
Yes.
So that for me is there needs to be more focus on live a healthier lifestyle, do more wellness talks in school, because that's where it starts.
Yes.
So becoming more aware, and also in the corporate environment, I do know that there's lots more wellness projects happening because of COVID. I think that our awareness has been, awakened.
So you say there is a shift happening, yeah.
definitely awakening, and I'm quite pleased on how things, and I know that there is people now that is becoming more conscious because my programs are very, very, very busy.
Yes.
You know, we start every month, we start our programs. So there is time for you every month to enroll in, whether or not it's a 14-day, a 30-day, a 60-day. You have a time to roll in every month.
Claudia, can you explain to the listeners how you started? What set you off on this journey to being a proponent of this sort of approach to health and well-being?
Yeah, you know, I was never overweight. I always liked to run, but sadly, my sister was diagnosed with cancer in 2015. And when Leonie was diagnosed with cancer, I was gutted. I was really, it came to a shock that she was young. She was 37 years old. She had 4 kids. How can this happen? Not one of our family members has ever had cancer or any diagnosis. So I was really marveled on how this happened. And so I went about and I actually did research. And I did research, and I found a very good friend of mine, Alexander Cousins, on Facebook, and she was busy healing herself on Facebook with her post. And I connected with her, and I asked her, so tell me more about this lifestyle. And she's the founder of Living Mucus Free, and she's also my mentor. And when Alexander introduced me to the lifestyle, I introduced my sister because at this stage she was diagnosed with cancer for 3 years, and she opted to do the chemotherapy and to do the radiation, all of that. And of course, with having also a medical sister as a doctor, and here I am going, oh no, just do the natural route. I was really going into undergoing and really understanding natural healing. And for 3 years, while Leonie was undergoing the chemotherapy and was diagnosed with cancer, I underwent the lifestyle. And I went through it. And I transformed my life through this. And 3 weeks after Leonie passed away, I was sitting on my bed and I got the realization that I will never be able to speak to her again. And that for me was just a thought that the grief was just too much. I stood up and I said, I want to help the community understanding their bodies and understanding that you can heal the body through food. Food is our fuel. We don't need to have a bad relationship with food. Food can heal any disease in our bodies. And disease really comes from emotional stress. Stress on our nervous system. Stress on, every day we are living on a daily battle with stress. And the impact that it has on our physical bodies is astronomical.
Yes.
And it really affects our physical body. And that is why I wanted to make sure that I design an holistic program. And I went and I looked at Leonie's life and I thought, okay, this is where she went wrong. And maybe this had an impact on why she was diagnosed. And maybe this. And I took every single part of her life. And I went and I wrote programs and structure to help the member transform on a holistic manner.
Well, a tragedy in your life, in your family that had a positive outcome in the sense that you've set you off on this journey towards health. Yes. And I am absolutely, I thank her every day because now I am living my purpose. I completely stepped into my purpose to help and heal God's people, and that's my mission. Fantastic. And so how can people, if they want to be part of one of your programs, how do they access it? Where can they start?
Okay, so they can go to our website, which is www.uba 90-Day Wellness Challenge.
Well, just quickly, what does UBA stand for? What is that acronym?
Okay, so UBA is for Urban Beauty Academy. Urban Beauty Academy is the beneficiary of the UBA 90-Day Wellness Challenge. The UBA 90-Day Wellness Challenge is an NPO, and the Urban Beauty Academy is my beauty accredited school in Coles River. So that is where I actually train and empower women in beauty, women that can't afford to study for beauty therapy. That is actually my first passion. I am first and foremost a dermatologist, beauty therapist. Okay. And this was my business before Leonie passed away. And when I opened this business and I received my accreditation, I realized there's women that can't afford to study beauty. And what I've done with the UBA 90 Day, I've now created an NPO that fund the UBA Urban Beauty Academy. So you transform your life in aid to change a student's life. That's basically what it is.
Awesome. Just give us that website address again if people want to find out more.
www.uba90daywellnesschallenge.co.za.
Fantastic.
They can also follow me on Facebook. I'm Claudia Von Skulkvick.
Fantastic. You don't have 5,000 friends yet. You haven't hit the limit yet.
No, not at all. I only started social media in lockdown.
Okay.
I was very anti-social media.
Well, yes, and now you see. I mean, I would not have known about
I can't.
you.
Now I have to go out there and I just, I love it.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Claudia, for joining us. And we may come back to you at some future stage to talk about these things, because I think these things are absolutely critical in our society to get the message out, talk more about these things, because we can't talk enough about them because they do not get spoken about generally. So we'll come back to that. Thank you so much, Claudia. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me. You too. Bye.
Human beings are social creatures. We need to know each other, feel each other's energy. And the pandemic has really put a spanner in the works of that. I find myself often, it's a strange kind of person that I like people, but I also really enjoy being alone and being away from people. It's a strange thing.
I think it's like cultivating that balance. Everything in life.
Yeah, it is about balance. But I feel more at ease in the world when I am alone. Maybe it's just about getting older and being a bit full of people and their rubbish.
Should go forest bathing.
Yeah, I think that's forest bathing alone with myself. Yes.
It's okay. It's a Virgo thing.
Yeah,
we're actually the hermit.
Yes, you Virgo as well, right? Yes.
Our card's the hermit, so we like being alone.
Yeah. I mean, I like people. I mean, I like animals and babies more. They adults are their nonsense. Okay, so on the line now, we're going to cross to a friend of mine. Is she on the line? Khalema.
Hi, Ryan. Good evening. How are you?
Hi, Khalema. I'm fantastic. I'm so glad to have you on the line with us. It's been one of my dreams, actually, to be talking to you and getting other people to know you as well, because I think you are one of those special people that more people should know. And so it's a real privilege and honor to have you on the line with me in the show. I understand why you had to leave the city and go and be with your kids in KZN, but I really miss the opportunity to actually hang out with you. So everyone, for those who don't know, Khalema Easton is someone I've known for a number of years, but she is the driving force behind Creating Eden. And Creating Eden is an organization. I don't know if it's registered as an NPO or is just a movement, but has taken up a cause that is very close to my heart, has always been, which is the growing of food in urban spaces. Khalema, will you just take over and tell people give us the details. Where did it start and how's it going?
Okay, so, Ryan, good evening, listeners. Creating Eden started at, I think, the first month of lockdown. Mm-hmm. All we saw when the president announced that he's locking the country down, and I saw the fear in my daughter's eyes, and the questions were going around, what are we going to do? What if we lose our jobs? What are we going to eat? And, and I'm looking at them and thinking, if this is how my kids feel, what happens to poor people out there? We've been growing food in our backyard for many years. The verge outside was an eyesore. And for the longest time, I've wanted to grow food out there, I just wanted to put seeds into the ground. But then, of course, the city wasn't very
amenable.
I'll favor that kind of thing at the time. And suddenly on that evening, and I said to my husband, well, this is it. We are not going to sit here locked, behind closed doors, afraid of a virus, while the less fortunate out there are going to be dying of hunger. This ain't happening. And we said, right, the following morning, we're going to take our spades, we're going to take our seeds. Oh, but then I've collected so much seeds already, clean seeds from butternuts and tomatoes and squash and everything that we use, at home. Clean those seeds, and I've been storing it. And I even had quite a few baby fruit trees. And I said to Sohit, tomorrow morning we're out there with our spades. And that is what we did. Following morning, we were out there. It was Plumstead was like a ghost town. There wasn't a car to be seen. There was no person on the road. And I said to him, well, if the police come by now and lock us both up, then at least it's for a good cause. And we started digging. We planted 7 fruit trees that day, that morning. And I said to Togi, he says, leave it for a month. If the city doesn't flatten it, we'll add on another piece. And that is how it started.
And the one thing you did was, I was away during the time. I was out of the city and some farm somewhere. I remember you started posting.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, you started posting about it on Facebook. And then what happened from there? Tell us.
And then I said, we started adding on another piece, and I started planting spinach and onions and, just the basics, all the basics.
And what was the reaction from your neighbors and passers? Because I know that street where you used to live, it's quite a high traffic area. The people, obviously in lockdown, but people still drive down that road. And what was the reaction and the response from the public?
It was a mixture of reactions. The best ones, which we had to sort of floor. It's unsavory characters. You are drawing unsavory characters into our area. Now what are unsavory characters?
Why? Because we just want to find out why. Because you're growing food, and you said that the produce is for anyone who passes by, and you actually labeled it there. You said if you want free food growing on your sidewalk. And your neighbors, some of your neighbors were annoyed by that. That's the way you're attracting homeless people who want to eat. Is that what they said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the reason we're planting food. It is for the elderly who cannot get to a shop. Ryan, the thing is, we all have to go back to basics sooner or later. Sooner rather than later.
Yes.
And, the idea of somebody cleaning somebody's house and walking down to the station and only getting paid at the end of the month. Harvest your heart out, girl. Take food home to your children. And that is exactly what happened.
Yes.
And
tell me.
In the second month,
yes,
I had a lady. I was on the verge. We were busy on the verge, and a lady pulled into my driveway, and that was Tina. And Tina was way down the road at the end of the person. And Tina said, she came running to me, got out of a car, and she said, "Oh, you're responsible for this." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, wow, not another one." And then she said, "I want one too. Will you please come and do my verge?" And
fantastic.
From there, and we've done 21 so far already.
21 verges, 21 sidewalk gardens growing around in Cape Town, right?
Yep.
And more being added every week, all the time.
Every week. I have just had a message from a lady in Maitland who is wanting a garden as well. So, the more, it is the only way we're going to, it's the only way we're going to feed the less fortunate.
Yes.
Come on, Ryan. I have a garden full of food at the back. I go out there, all my herbs, all the things that are good for me, I'm growing. Why can't the people walking past have the same thing? They may not have the backyard I have.
Yes.
But if you don't have the soil, you have fine pots, fine empty paint drums, just pack it around your house, put soil in there, plant the seeds, because we need really good, organic, decent food. I'm sorry, not the chemical and poison stuff we've been buying and feed, all these years. It's time for a change.
Yes.
And we need everybody to be healthy,
Yes.
That sense of, the stress that everyone is going through right now. All you need to go out is put your hands into the soil, on your hands and knees, and you are in the soil, and whether it's raining out there or not, if it's stormy, you will still peek through your window to see, has those seeds germinated? Can I see a little pinch of green coming out of the soil?
Yes, I think it really goes back again to our connection with nature and sort of getting back in touch with the basic things that we are made of. We're made of earth, soil, water, air, and I think that what happens is modern society really ruptures that connection that we have. We are everything. There's concrete everywhere, or the vegetation has been cleared away, and we are just separated from the essence of life. And so I think that's part really of what we need to be returning to in all aspects.
Yes, we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect with nature. We need to reconnect with the soil. And when you go through stress, especially, everybody's mentioning COVID, yes, but, never mind, we've had starving people and poor people before COVID.
Yes.
Something had to be done ages ago, but that was ages ago. It's not too late. We can all start doing it now,
Fantastic.
And it doesn't cost us anything.
Yes.
Growing food outside on the verge, it creates community.
Yes.
Now we all.
Tell me something.
I at least grew up in District 6. Sense of community. People looking out for each other, watching out, and making sure everybody eats.
Yes,
because
the act of growing food is generally a communal activity. You do it because it leads to people working together, clearing the soil, building the soil, planting the seeds, watching it grow, and then also when it comes to harvesting and sharing, because you always end up growing more than you can humanly consume. Otherwise the food's going to go off. So you have to share it. You have to go and see your neighbors and make friends and share what what the earth has given you. I'm really glad that I was able to have you on the show, Kgalema, and please, the next time you are in Cape Town, please let me know and let's connect again.
Yes, most definitely, Ryan. Everybody, who is listening, please, you need to empower yourself, Get out there and make a space in your backyard. Start growing food, We've got an amazing team, Martin, Marissa, Terry, Tina, to name but a few. But I've left Cape Town. I'm in KZN now, hoping to hook up with all the community growers here in KZN. The team in Cape Town, however, being led by Martin, is going strong.
Yes. So people who want to connect with that team can go on the Facebook page, right? Is it, if they look for...
Yes, they must look for Creating Eden. That's Facebook at Seed to Free Food.
Fantastic.
Right, and they can message me on there. I get hold of the team in Cape Town, or we come out in KZN if you're listening KZN and you want your food gardens done. Please get hold of us and let's grow food. Let's feed everybody.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Kgalema. That was Kgalema Easton, who is the driving force behind creating Eden. She's now left Cape Town. She's living in KZN with her family, but what she's done is absolutely amazing. She started a movement of people growing food on their pavements. Some parts of the country, it's not necessarily illegal, but people have run into trouble for doing that. A few weeks ago, there was a guy growing cabbage on his pavement, and he was called to order for being, I think it was blocking the traffic. The people need to walk on the sidewalk, and so it just belongs to the city, and so they stopped him. They said, no, you can't be doing this here, and he got fined or something happened to him. But he's been told now that I think it's fine, and he's had to ask the necessary permissions. In Cape Town, the response was that the Cape Town City Council now encourages the growing of food in urban spaces, and is actually wants to support people who do that. So Google it, look online, find Creating Eden. There is support for this kind of initiative in your community. It's absolutely important. I know from my own experience growing up in the 70s and 80s, my grandfather was always growing food in his backyard and not feeding entirely the family from the backyard, but actually not giving his hard-earned money to the supermarkets every week. So that was very important part of my upbringing. And I think a lot of people had similar experience. We just lost it, and we need to rediscover it. It's now 4 minutes to 9. We are running out of time for the first critical dialogues. We had a bit of a rocky start, but I think it turned out quite fine. Things smoothed out a bit. We want to end off with a song. Are we able to end off with a song played on Spotify by Dara?
Yeah, I'd love to mention one thing
before we do that. So we'll play out with that song, but Dara, just
regarding mental health, one thing I really, really wanted to mention on today's show is the negative stigma around mental health and looking for help, or just wanting to grow your own psyche. The older generation and in general, a lot of the public eye says it's wrong, or you're sick, or there's something wrong with you. And I want to create a more positive stigma around mental health, and that even if you don't have that much trauma, or if you do, that it's a positive thing to seek that help and to connect to your own psychology and your own psyche, even regardless of your situation. As a human living in this world, it's one of the most beneficial things as a community. If we all work on ourselves and our mental health, collectively we will grow. And I just don't want that negative stigma. There's nothing wrong with you if you seek help. It's only beneficial for everyone, and you're not sick. There's nothing wrong. But enjoy this last track.
Thank you so much, Dara Jaslin, who's jetting off next week to the Bahamas, the Caribbean. She's going off. She shared some of her music with us. Also, Bevin Reynolds, dance facilitator, spoke about her work in dance and helping people in a different modality to get in touch with themselves. And Vusumuzi Mpofu, student poet at the Cornerstone Institute, talking about his poetry. He was really fantastic. If you want to Google these people, you will find them online on social media, and everything will be fine. Hope to see you next week, right here.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Cornerstone. Learn to change the world.